If you're feeling stuck in your corporate job and you're between 3 and 10 years out of college, stop trudging along. You don't need to do that to yourself. You have an opportunity to flip that script, and I'm gonna walk you through how you can do that because trust me, I've been there before. There's literally nothing in school that teaches you how to figure out what you want to do next in your career. But having a framework for finding fulfillment at work is literally the most important thing you should learn. You probably had at least one of these thoughts. You have no idea what's the correct next step for your career. You have no idea whether to keep pushing through in your current role. You have no idea what skills you need to develop in order to keep progressing. I've used this one framework to find fulfillment at a variety of places. Marketing partnerships at the NBA, digital marketing at CBS, going to MIT for my MBA, building an edtech startup, and now working in BD for a software company called Lucid, and while creating content outside of work. Here's that framework. What are your strengths? What gives you energy? What are your core values? When you can answer these questions, you'll ultimately be able to clearly articulate what you want in your next role and why you want it. This is your North Star to help you navigate through your next step. But for now, let's walk through each of these questions and figure out how you can tactically discover your strengths, your energizers, and your core values. There are two things that you should do. Number one, think back over your past 5 years. Write down the top 10 accomplishments you've ever had and why they were so meaningful to you. This is an exercise that's inspired by Kate Wendelton, a career coach from the 5 O'Clock Club, where you write down your top 25 accomplishments across your lifetime, narrow them down to your top 7, and analyze key patterns in order to identify what you love and what you're good at. Now, I've adapted this exercise to focus you on finding the next step in your career. And that means that by analyzing the past 5 years, you'll hone in on the most recent strengths, which will stand out much more to a potential employer or a hiring manager. Identify 10 key accomplishments and narrow them down to your top 3 over the past 5 years. Then highlight the key words that keep showing up. Now, I won't bore you through my entire list, but here are 3 that stood out to me. Number 1, I built a profitable edtech company from scratch that helped communications coaches give feedback to their students more effectively. It mattered to me because 1, I never thought I could create a profitable tech business without technical skills. 2, I built meaningful relationships with my customers and my partners over the course of those 2 years. And 3, I felt like I had a sense of purpose helping people improve their communication skills. Number 2, I created a brand new division at CBS that helped our sales team prospect clients more effectively and add $2 million in net new deals. It mattered to me because 1, I was building something from scratch. 2, I enjoyed building relationships with my business partners who benefited from my work. And 3, I had a meaningful impact on the business. Number 3, I developed a marketing sponsorship proposal that led Gatorade to sponsor the NBA Development League, which is now called the NBA Gatorade League. It had a much more meaningful impact on the business because the NBA Gatorade League remains the key name for the NBA's minor league system, thanks in part to my work. And 2, I got to be creative in developing new sponsorship concepts from scratch. Notice the key strengths that are emerging here. I'm good at building new things from scratch, building relationships with new people, and driving business growth. Activity 2. This is inspired by Pat Flynn's book called Will It Fly? Ask your friends and family, what are your superpowers? These are your unfair advantages that you should lean on. Now, I've done this exercise dating back to 2015 when I sent out an email like this, asking for feedback from close friends. Key themes that came up in this email were, your enthusiasm and positivity are infectious. You're great at connecting with other people. I'm always surprised by how close people feel to you. You're really good at commanding attention of a room with your communication skills. You're great at carving out a lane for yourself by creating things that people want from scratch. By combining self-reflection with external validation, you'll arrive at a few key strengths that you should keep in mind for your next role. Think about the moments where you intended to add value for someone else, where you felt like the time was just flying by. There are 3 main things to keep in mind. Number 1, you can find energy from your failures, not just your accomplishments. Even if you didn't add value for someone else, but tried, and found a lot of fulfillment from trying, it's worth understanding what energized you about those experiences. Number 2, personal experiences matter a lot here. Think back to the friends you've helped, the family members you've supported, the acquaintances that you've met. Number 3, focus on the experiences where you've tried to add value. It's perfectly fine to be energized by your hobbies, but if you're looking to find your next career move, adding value for someone else is essential. I wish I could make all the money in the world by watching NBA highlights on YouTube every day, but that's just not feasible. For me, I'm energized by meeting new people, building something from scratch that drives meaningful value for a business, having the autonomy to create what I want. For one side project, for example, I taught myself how to design prototypes and almost got 2 companies to pilot my product. Now the key word is almost, because the pilots ultimately never materialized. It was a complete failure. But I loved having complete creative control to launch something new that I thought would be helpful. Helping people overcome challenging obstacles in their life. Close friends come to talk to me about their career issues, relationship problems, issues with friends. I'm a sounding board, and I actually really enjoy helping people. You can also think about the people you've observed who you feel energized by. What about their story energizes you, motivates you? What career path did they follow? What skills did they prioritize? The bottom line is that to excel, you need to lean in on your unfair advantages. Where you find energy, you'll push through, even during the most difficult times. Go back through your list of personal and professional experiences. Understand why each experience particularly mattered to you. For me, I deeply care about being authentic when building relationships with people. Having a job that allowed me to have quality time with family and the stability to support my family is extremely important to me. Being caring to others. I love helping people. Challenging myself to build new skills. Whenever I failed at something, I took pride in shoring up that key skill that would have helped me be much more successful the next time. Take ownership in being autonomous. These matter because they'll help you identify the types of people that you want to work with. Just like you'd want to marry a partner who shares your core values, you want to better understand which companies match your core values too. Once you've been able to articulate your strengths, your energizers, and your core values, you then can begin the exercise of articulating the following. What do you want in your next role and why? You want to focus on the top 5 things that you want and why you want them. For mine, they were building things from scratch, thinking more strategically, having more autonomy in my work, driving transformational growth, having enough time for a life outside of work where I can prioritize my family and my side hustle. I'll leave you with these 3 parting thoughts. Number 1, your core what's and whys will change. I do this exercise of assessing my strengths and my energizers every 3 months. Number 2, your core what's and whys are the North Star to identify whether you're in the right role. When you feel the misalignment is too great, it may be time for you to explore your options. Number 3, the importance of a side hustle. Most likely, your next career role won't be exactly what you're looking for. It's typically a great sign if you enjoy 60 to 70% of your work, and 80% is phenomenal. But you will likely have other things you want that you're not able to get in your 9 to 5, and that's okay. That's why a side hustle is so important. You don't need to quit your job, but finding a side hustle is so critical to finding fulfillment.